Okay, so remember me mentioning Ava being a shapeshifter? Yeah, I'm sure there's a good reason this detail was brought up in Union Cross, and I think we have to consider that Master Ava might have been with us in some form at some point throughout the Kingdom Hearts games. So I did have a small list of who Ava could have portrayed or imitated throughout the story so far, from Demyx to Luxord to even Yuzora, but ultimately I couldn't quite fully have a sound and counterpoint-proof argument for Ava to shift into any of those, at least not as a long-term masquerade, because each of those seem to have developed into their own character throughout the story. However, I will say that this particular scene with Luxord and Xigbar, or Blueshoe, was very interesting when looking at it from a different lens. The scene itself with Luxord becoming suspicious of Xigbar was very interesting on its own, but when seeing Luxord ask,
Xigbar, who are you really?
From a different perspective, that maybe Luxord in that moment is really an Ava apparition trying to figure out if that is in fact Luxhoe, it adds a whole nother layer. And there we could even view the Yuzora Luxord scene after Sora's victory over Yuzora, or in the true ending, as there's something more here. Because how exactly could Luxord see into Yuzora's dreams so hard to ask if what he saw was impressive? Of course, without further context, he could have been referring to something entirely different, but working with what we have, Luxord's comment currently alludes to him having the power to see further into a person's heart or dreams, or it was really Ava masquerading in that scene. So this kind of brings me back to the Kairi's grandma theory in that, yes, Ava is very unlikely to be Kairi's actual biological grandmother, but that doesn't mean she couldn't have shifted into Kairi's grandma to tell her the story about how children carried light into the future post-Keyblade War. And so I think the Ava shape-shifting throughout time, and even to where she's possibly masquerading someone in Quadratum when the other foretellers were summoned, is the most likely theory to date on her whereabouts. Hell, this could even mean that Ava at some point shape-shifted into Luxhoe for whatever reason, maybe even in that epilogue with the other foretellers. Without much more context, it's kind of up in the air of just who and where Ava's been throughout the series.